guys, it's Liliana the Magnificent, and welcome back to my main city, Dukes of Honey. This has been a long-awaited and requested video, and it is about a feature that is only available on PC or on web browser, and it is called Guild versus Guild. It is another feature about the game, and I know people have been asking me to make a video about it for a really long time, but I needed to learn about it myself. Even though I've been playing the game for a really long time, GVG was not something that I was super an expert in. I'm still not going to say that I have expertise in it. I am going to say that I am semi-competent in it, but I wanted to at least be able to share information that I have learned, not like on my own, not versus like me reading off of FoE wiki for you or whatever. So this is the Lil version of Guild versus Guild, or GVG. Let's jump in. Like I said, first off, this is only available on a web browser, so you need a computer of some sort to play it. I will say I've heard from some people that you can download some sort of something on your phone to be able to maybe do it, but I am not tech savvy, so I don't know anything about that. So don't ask me. Maybe somebody else in the comments will know and they can describe that, but I don't know. That's not my realm. So on the computer, you are going to go to this little icon down here called the Guild Continent Map. Now, you might be asking, okay, well, let's just go to the big feature first. This is what it looks like. So there's a whole bunch of different eras. It starts in Iron Age. There is no Bronze Age. You can see that it kind of goes up and it kind of scoops around. It covers all of them. Once it gets to the future era, it stops. And from my understanding is then FOE created all ages, which is different. And then they stopped kind of like tweaking it or adding on to it and things, and they started focusing on other things. But the long-term players that have been playing this game like swear by GVG. And essentially what it is it's kind of like GBG in the mindset that you work with your guild. However, the time commitment to do GVG is a lot less. Also, if you play within, it's all about fighting. There is no negotiations at all. There's no goods from your own personal, I will say. It's all fighting. It's all about fighting. But when you do this, there is no personal rewards like you get in GVG. So when you play Guild Battlegrounds, if you win, you might get like forge points or like extra troops or something like that. That is not available when you play GVG. The whole mindset of GVG is you are coming together as a guild. So people really who are there are guilds that are super into this and have been playing this for years. The really fun aspect is that they will get together right at recalc. So I will share that, but it's a certain time when the map resets, just like GBG, the map resets one time each day. All of those people will get together. Our guild mostly does guild chat. So on here, you've got global chat, you got neighborhood chat, you got guild chat. We chat on here. But the serious guilds will get onto Discord and they will all voice together at the same time. I've been trying to get my guild into it a little bit more. If you can imagine, I love it because I just love talking, and it's a really fun social time that these players, you really get to make connections with people out in the real world, and you come together and you're focused on this. Most of the time you can get everything done that you need to within 15-20 minutes. If you're super serious and there's battles going on, then guilds might sit together for like 45 minutes, but normally that commitment then is kind of done. Yeah, there might be some like map watching, but it's not at all anything like GBG, which is literally a full-time job in and of itself. Also, I will say, the point of GVG, since there is no personal rewards, it is all about guild rewards. So when you hold land, and I'll go over this, but you see all these little like hexes all over the place? The red ones are owned by guilds. When you own land, you bring in crowns from holding land. So just like Guild Expedition, if you win an encounter, you get guild crowns that then helps level up your guild. you get a lot of guild crowns for holding land in GVG. So these guilds will hold lots of land in a whole bunch of different eras, and then they'll get a lot of guild crowns. Well, guild crowns help to level your guild up faster, and then ultimately when your guild levels, you get more benefits as a guild. So like if we visit my guild here, you can see what I mean by that. So if we go to our guild level, you can see that we're almost, oh my goodness, hello. You want to tell me so much. We're almost at level 70, but the more crowns you hold, you get to level 70, you earn up faster, and as you do, you get, more prestige points as a guild. The pool bonus specifically has to do with GVG. Recruitment boost means that you can collect from your Alcatraz a lot faster. So ours is 31% faster. So we don't collect every 24 hours. I'm on a I don't know what we're on. I'm on a what? I don't know. I'm on a 14-hour collect. So that is because of our guild level. So every 14 hours I can collect from my Traz instead of every 24 hours. Then there's also the added bonuses as an individual. It's going to pop up again on me. Is that you get more forge points from your town hall, and then also your coin and supply buildings also increase as well. You get more from them. So there's a lot of added bonuses. So that's why people do GVG. One thing that I will say is just the camaraderie of GVG has been really fun. I might not always get to get everybody involved in talking in my guild, but I've been able to kind of work with some other guilds and that are super into GVG, and oh my gosh, it is so much fun. They are all chatty. It's just that camaraderie of, okay, you go hit here, you do this, and then the panic that happens and the excitement when you win, and it's so exciting. And it's like you guys get to do that all at once. And granted, like you could do that in battles in GVG, but GVG is just such a huge time commitment. And I guess my focus has kind of changed to do guild versus guild more because GBG in general has been very taxing on me, especially if you are leaders within a guild. Just the time commitment to either set up farming opportunities for your guild, to work with other guilds to farm the map, or even just to battle in guild battlegrounds is exhausting. And the fact that guild battlegrounds is like 12 days long and you get a very short break in between is ridiculous. And I know I've discussed this with a lot of my guild leaders, and I know this is a whole different topic, but it's really, I've come to almost detest GBG because of the amount of selfishness and greed because of the personal rewards and that I'm seeing just everywhere. It really sucks. And it's made a game that was really fun not as much fun anymore just because people get complainy at you, cranky at you, things aren't flipping fast enough, they're not getting enough rewards, other guilds are unhappy with you. It's just a lot of drama. And yes, there is drama in GVG, but it's not the same kind of greed-based selfish drama that happens in guild battlegrounds. So that's why I've been kind of shifting my focus, and I've actually worked to learn GVG a little bit more. But as a personal, though, for your own self, because you're hitting and fighting a lot more, like you're using a lot of troops, you are gaining your own personal rank points. So like this is me, I'm at 78. I've gained, I mean, I jumped to CE almost now 2 months ago. People, I still haven't even upgraded my stupid buildings in my city. But when I did, I've already gotten about 8,000 ranking points, and that's purely from doing like GVG because Guild Battlegrounds. I mean, if we look at what I do, it's so minimal. The amount that I put in, I've done 600, which is very, very small compared to what a lot of other people have been doing in my guild, just because I have like no desire. I have no desire to do it. It's very time consuming. It's exhausting. But anyway, okay, let's jump in. Oh my gosh, where are we? I don't even know how many minutes I've been talking. This video is going to be forever, but I warned you all at the beginning. Okay. We are going to go play in a lower era. If we look kind of at the overview, you can see that, ooh, my guild dropped a lot of land. Holy buckets. We just did some GVG in PE, but we must have dropped a lot because we're kind of focusing and we're not really looking to hold land. So I guess there's two different mindsets if you're doing GVG. You're either a raider, which means you are not necessarily holding land, but instead you're hitting other guilds and you're in a constant battle with them, and your goal is to make them spend a lot of treasury goods, and I'll explain that soon. Or you're or you hold a lot of land, and that's where you get a lot of ranking points. So like our guild is only ranked 21. There was at one point where we were holding like 10 hexes in indie, in colonial era. We had some land in progressive era. We had some in modern era. We had like 6 in PME. We had stuff in CE. We had stuff in future and tomorrow era AA. And we only had we don't have a ton of people that are doing GVG in my guild because we're all just kind of like learning about it. And at that point in time, though, we were ranked, I think we got as low as like either 4 or 5. I can't remember what we were, but we were ranked 4 or 5. And now with only a little bit that we're holding, we're only ranked 21, which is not a big deal. But anyway, so there's two different mindsets. You either hold land in order to have a ranking that's really low, or you're a raider, and we'll go into that. But we're going to go and have a little bit of fun in HMA because our guild treasury is decent in this era, and I've already scoped out some fun that we're going to have. And okay, so let's just jump in and we're going to have some fun. So as you look at a map, if you are not on a map, you can currently see at the top, we have 0 holdings on this map. We have no guild ranking. You can also tell because I have all these arrows showing up on the map. These arrows are called landing zones, or LZs. That means you can land on them. If you are not looking to start a war with another guild, I highly suggest that you land on something that is an NPC or that is white. You can absolutely land on ones that are red. However, those that are red are owned by other guilds. And something that I've learned from doing the very little bit of GVG that I have is the guild politics and guild drama is very high in GVG, and people are constantly in battle with each other, and it's like super really fun, but it's not like guild battlegrounds where it's like totally different. But now like things leak over between the two, and it's chaos, I will say. But so there's a difference, but there's LZs, and I've already scoped one, and this is one that we're going to land on. It is a white. I know it's safe too because we have a neutral ally over here, so I know I'm not going to cause any upset tensions if I do. I don't want to land on anybody that does have an LZ because I don't know who. Sorry, I didn't mean to just like clear my throat on you guys. I'm just like very serious. Clearly. I just don't want to cause any extra drama. Plus, too, I know that they just removed somebody, so I'm going to take this to hopefully kind of also secure them a little bit too, because otherwise an enemy guild could land right here and they could cause a little mischief. So what we're going to do is we are going to lay a siege. So laying a siege is different than a siege camp in guild battlegrounds. In order to lay a siege or lay siege in a guild, or in a map, you are required to use units from that era. You cannot use any era units that are like EMA even. I can't right now in order to do that. I mean, I could lay a siege that is all rogues, and I very well might, but you either have to use an all-age unit or one that is specifically from that era, but like you can't use future era in a high middle age map, if that makes sense. You can lay a siege with all rogues though, and that's probably actually what we're going to do, and this is something that I learned as well, and I think it's exciting. So I learned that if I'm going to lay siege and I'm not in like panic mode, I'm going to lay siege with all of my damaged rogues. So once you lay a siege, these rogues or any kind of unit that you place into the siege are lost forever. They are no longer in your inventory. You cannot get them back. They are just gone. You've donated them to the cause. So once you lay siege, it's also going to show you the cost to lay a siege. Now, the good cost is not from your own personal inventory. This is from your guild's treasury. So if your guild treasury is very low, it's going to be very expensive to lay a siege. And as you lay more and more sieges and own more and more land, the cost gets more and more expensive. So you have to be really mindful. And honestly, our guild, like I said, we owned a lot in progressive era this evening. It looks like we dropped a lot in order to drop our siege costs so that when we do lay siege again, it's cheaper. So that's just the mindset of that. But when we do lay a siege, it's going to ask you to lay in place, pay in place. And now it's here. And the really cool thing is now you can see all of your rogues are here. This is your siege army. It's the army that's being used to attack this NPC, and all of your rogues are magically healed. Ah! So then you're not using your healed, healthy rogues on doing that. Awesome, right? Okay, so now when we go out of here, you're going to see that there's this little green sword here. Now, the cool thing that I've learned is once you lay a siege, you can lay sieges on other LZs as well if you are not on the map yet. So I could, if I wanted to, view this sector. And I could, if I wanted to, hypothetically, I'm not going to, but you can see I can also lay a siege right here. You can also see that the cost went up as well. And that's because I'm not currently on the map. Now, I could lay as many sieges as I wanted all over all of the LZs. And LZs are these beach sectors that don't have a shield on them. I could land everywhere if I wanted to, but that gets really expensive. So we're just going to do one. Now, I don't own this yet. In order to own this, I need to do a minimum of 10 fights because there are 2 ticks right here. Now, let's say, I wish I could find somebody that, oh, here's one that has more. This guild has stacked with more defending armies. That means that on here, and you can kind of see, you can have up to 8 different slots open. And with each 8, it costs 10 fights to do. So you could do up to 80 fights in order to take a sector. This is why that focused effort comes into play. You want to have as many players on at once. You do it together as a team. It's really fun. It gets done a lot faster. For me, this is going to take a hot minute. So let's jump in. Ooh, and somebody landed right here. Avocatus landed right there. Ooh, the other fun thing is too that I learned, I mean, I can't do it right now because I now have a siege on the map, but let's say I wasn't on the map. Anybody that's not on the map, you can actually hit this siege and you can make them lose their siege and they don't know who it is that did it. I learned that. So if I didn't have a siege right here, I could hit their siege and I could make them lose the siege that they did, which means they lost their goods and they lost their defending army that they placed. Or their attacking army that they placed down, their siege army, I guess I should say, and they wouldn't know it was me that did it. But I already have a siege down, so I can't do that. But I learned that, and I wouldn't do that to Avocatus either way. But what we're going to do is we're going to do our 10 fights in order to take this sector. Now, something else that I learned is there's something called the sweet spot. So you have to kind of like set this up, but you see where I clicked? Now my little cursor is up there. You want to kind of move this around in order to make them all match. So I just made it farther away. If we make it closer. Okay, so we're getting closer. So it's like a sweet spot is like a triple click action that happens, but you click somewhere. Oh, okay, see? Then you can hit auto battle. And now I had to move over to okay. So that means I got to move over just a smidge more. But basically, I'm going to see if I can set it up for you guys so you can see. But I learned about it. It's the sweet spot. It's the triple click. So you hit this and you hit okay. And oh, granted, it's not perfect because now if I hit view sector, and sometimes it doesn't always work. It depends on where you are on a map. But, ooh, yes, we found it. Oh my gosh, look at that, you guys. Look at that. So now you just click in the same spot over and over again, and it looks like a ton of people are online when it's actually just me. But yeah, if you can get a bunch of people that can all find the triple click, then you can take over like an 80 sector or an 80 fight sector really, really fast. Now, as you're seeing this, as you're seeing me hit this, you're seeing that little green shield pop up. That means that I've just won a fight. Now, let's say this sector was owned by a red. They could try and break my siege. And if that were the case, you'd see red swords going up as my green shield is hitting. And that's because they are trying to kill this army that I have placed down. And if they are able to kill it before I am able to do one more fight, then they would get their sector back and I wouldn't be able to take it. But instead, ta-da, it's now mine. And now it's green and it's a shield. So now this shielded sector means that nobody can take this sector from me until recalc or reset tomorrow. And you can kind of see the clock countdown. Once this gets to 0, that's the next calculation. And then all of these little bubbled shields go away. And then anything can be hit once again. So now you're going to notice different kind of sectors between. So I'm going to talk about this one because they already have more than me. So this is called their headquarter or HQ. You can see I have one sector, so I have an HQ or a headquarter right here. These are all of their surrounding sectors. Each sector you're also going to notice has different power points or crowns that you get per day. And you have to be holding these sectors at the time of recalc in order to get them. So if you drop any sectors right before recalc, then you will lose those crowns, or you don't lose them, you just don't get them. But right now I'm getting 12 for this sector if I still hold it tomorrow at recalc. They have their HQ here as well. I'm not going to hit them, but I could ask them if they would like a free HQ bump in order to potentially go and hit another guild that I know that they are enemies with. So it's almost like, there's a little bit of difference with this. This is a whole nother different topic. But what I would be doing would be giving them, like I said, a free HQ bump. So I'd be able to hit this one right now. There is a chance then that it could bump up, but it could also bump to either of these. They would have to drop both of those sectors in order to ensure that their HQ would bump to here or here. If that were to happen, then they could continue and they could actually hit their enemy. But like I said, there's a whole lot of coordination with that. Some guilds now, what I just described, they will have something called a ghost guild. Some guilds even have like a whole bunch of ghost guilds. But what that essentially means is they have players in other guilds. Sometimes even some of them have something called an alternate account, which is illegal, I will say. You cannot have an alternate account. But they will have alternate accounts that they're also playing in a different guild. And so then what they will do is they would do what I just did, is they would land and then they would coordinate hitting their ghost guild sister or whatever. And then that would hit and move, and then they would get free HQ bumps because your HQ can technically only move once a day. Once you've moved it once, you cannot move it again. Now, here's another thing. I know there's so much to talk about. This video is going to be forever. Shielded sectors. Shielded sectors you cannot hit off of unless your HQ is there. So right now, this guild cannot hit their enemy because they don't have their HQ over there. Their HQ is over here. Now, if they moved their HQ over, then they could hit those two sectors. Now, if there's an unshielded sector, however, so they have two right here, an unshielded sector, they could take any surrounding sector that they wanted and they wouldn't have to move their HQ there. So like for instance, this sector, they could actually take two sectors off of and their HQ doesn't need to be right there. They could even take that one if they wanted to. And that's just because these are unshielded. Shielded though, they cannot. So like this one, they can't take anything from this guild down here because it's shielded. But what we're going to do is our HQ does have a shield, so we can hit off of it. So now that we are here, we're going to lay siege and we're going to hit something again. So we're going to drop some more of our injured rogues just so that we're not using our healthy ones. And you can even do like drummers and stuff because those are a no age, but we won't do that. That's pretty useless to me. So we'll do some more of these, and then I'm going to show you what like an HQ move looks like. Um, but let's see if we can't set up our little sweet spot again. Super exciting when we do. Oop, we're kind of near it. It, like I said, it kind of changes with every sector that you do, but you can make it look faster. So I got to move a little bit this way, I think. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Do you see how close I am? I think I just moved up. I shouldn't have. I should have moved down. There's also, and I know FoE Elite has done a video about this as well. There's like a whole lot of like people using something called like programmable mouses or macros or something when it comes to this. So it like memorizes where you need to hit, and that's totally illegal too. But there are guilds that do that apparently. I have never seen it with my own eyes. Like I said, I'm not tech savvy. FoE Elite made a video about it, about people and how they cheat in the game. It sucks that they do, but I mean, not really much that I can do. I'm just me, but I can say, don't do it. Play fair. It sucks when people don't play fair. It's kind of rude. Like, come on, man. Just play like the rest of us. Anyway, so now what I did. So we're going to show you guys. My HQ is here. I could hit their HQ right now if I wanted to, because it is right there. But, and I could also take the sector if I wanted to as well, because my HQ is right here. However, what else that I can do, I can move my HQ or relocate it. And then if I were to move it, then I can take, so right now you can kind of see I can only take 2 sectors off of my HQ right now because these are shielded. Now if I move it right here, I can take 1, 2, 3, 4 more sectors with an HQ move. However, I haven't moved it yet. So let's say I didn't move my HQ and I try to go to their sector and I try to lay a siege. And it tells me it's not adjacent to my headquarter or one of my unprotected. Those are those unshielded sectors. So there's that right there. So I actually can't hit it unless like I said, we can move or relocate our HQ. Ta-da! And now I could honestly hit everything if I wanted to, which is like totally cool. I'm not going to really hit any more though right now because the siege cost is getting more and more expensive as we do. But another thing that we can do as well is you can also grant freedom to a sector, which means once you grant freedom, it returns to an NPC. Once you grant freedom to a sector, you cannot retake that sector until the next recalc. So let's say I dropped this sector. I couldn't retake it then because I've already owned it once today. It won't let me do it again, which totally, I mean, it makes sense, but you can't do that again. So be mindful of that. I will say as guilds do move, if they are raiding, they will drop behind them if it's safe to do so as they move. Now, if, let's say I was in the middle of a whole bunch of my enemy guilds, and they were everywhere right now, it would not be a good idea, and I've learned this, they've drilled it into me. Do not drop one of your sectors to make a siege cost cheaper if you are surrounded by your enemy, because what can happen then is, I wish this would go away. I'm going to try to make it go away. Okay, there we go. If that were to happen, then an enemy guild could do something called priming that sector, which it kind of almost looks like what this guild did. They have 1 tick left, which means they can choose to take this sector whenever they want. So that's almost called priming. Wow, I chose such a good map for this. This was, wow, I'm like a genius right now. But so they can then prime this sector, and let's say this red guild dropped this. They couldn't retake this again until next recalc. Well, now this guild can hold on to this until recalc hits, and then suddenly they own it, and now, they can attack you. So there's a priming sense, which is also different, like I said, than priming within guild battlegrounds. Now there's also something called defending armies. So if we look at our sector and we look at our enemies defending armies, right here, this is my rogues right now. I can always replace this with my current army. I can click it, and it'll let me replace it. I also think you can delete one as well, but it makes me really nervous to do so. And I'm like, don't want to. What happens if I do that? Okay, so this one just tells me that I can replace it. However, I don't think I can delete this one, but like, let's say we want to stack this. We'll, we'll do so for the aspect of this video. I did warn my guild that I do this. So you can deploy a selected army to the siege. So you can, like I said, remember, you can stack them. You can make it so that people have to fight in 80 armies to be able to take a sector. What you do is you deploy this and you place your army here. Now, you're going to see the rest of these are all locked. In order to unlock them, you have to place more goods. It gets more and more expensive. So you're using a lot of guild treasury goods in order to do this. Now, you also have the option too, is there's some way to delete. I know there was a way to delete. How do I delete? I know there was a way. I don't, oh man. See, I get so excited when I feel like I remember things, and then I know there's a way to delete this, and then I forgot how to delete. But I know you can. Your selected army. Well, yeah, I know, but there's a way that you can delete it. Oh, I found it. Select to delete your unit. Haha, okay, I remembered. It took me a second. If you want to delete one of your armies, you have to select this delete unit thing, and then you can press this, and it'll ask you, are you sure? Oh, maybe not. Okay, maybe not. Now I'm confused again. Oh man, I don't remember. There's a way that you can delete it. I'm not useful. Dang it. I know there's a way. I just already forgot. So like, let's say you want to delete what you have in here and you want to put in something else. I already forgot how to do that. Somebody can tell me in the comments how to, because I forgot how. I thought that you pressed on it and then you could delete it. Maybe you can only replace it. I don't remember. I thought you could. Maybe you can't delete. Maybe you can only replace. That's what it is. Oh, and you know what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of deleting a siege. Oh, because you can delete a siege. You can back out of a siege. Okay, that's what it is. So once you have an army in, oh, excuse me. Oh my goodness, my voice cracked a little bit there. Once you have an army in, you can't delete your armies. You can only replace them. However, you can back out of a siege. See, now I remember these things. So let's for kicks and giggles, we will do this. So you Oops, we're going to use all of our injured units again, though, first. See, you guys, I told you, I'm not an expert. This is me remembering how to do things. So once you pay and place your siege, it's there. Now, you can delete your siege. Once you're doing it, you have to do something. I think you press this button, and then you press here. Aha, that's what it is. You can delete your siege army, and which ultimately takes your siege off. So you press this, you're going to lose all of your guild goods, you're going to lose all of your units, but let's say you accidentally placed a siege on like one of your a neutral guild that you don't actually want to do that to, and then you're like, oh crap, Rudy, I didn't want to do that. Or on like an enemy guild and they're all cranky at you anyway and you don't want to do that either, then you can delete it. However, now mine is down and we're not going to do that. So we're going to finish what we started. This will be our last one that we do. But I'll show you the little icon you get that says you cannot move your HQ. You've already done it once today. Because that also is a thing. And then I'm going to check my notes because I'm sure I've I can show you something else too. There's a whole lot of things. This is so much fun. There's a whole lot of strategy. There's actually a whole lot more strategy to this than GVG, and there's a whole lot of guild drama and politics that happen. It's all really exciting stuff. Along with that, you also will see, and I'll go into my actual city to show that before I forget. That is the first thing I'm going to do I'm going to show the HQ, and then I'm going to show you that. You guys are probably like, oh my God, girl. Okay, so for instance, now let's see, if I try to relocate my HQ again, you can't. You only get one HQ move a day. However, if ghost guild or even a friend guild were to, let's say I dropped this, oh, no, I can't right now because I own this sector and it's green. Silly me. That doesn't work. Never mind. I can ghost them though and move them. Nobody can do it to me right now because everything is shielded, so nobody can hit me. Silly me. But anyway, you can't move your HQ again. You've already done it once today. Something else that's really cool is you can go to, not this, if you go in, oh, nope, this is the actual rankings. I'm getting there. If you go to your map rankings, granted it says 0 right now because recalc hasn't happened. So it doesn't show that I'm on the map even though that I'm there, even though I am there. However, you can view all these other guilds on here, and it's really cool because let's like pick a random one. You can press on this, and then you can press on go to their HQ, and it should, oh my gosh, is their HQ near me? Normally, if I press on it, it'll take me there. Is it near me? I pressed go. Let's choose somebody else. Go to their HQ. Why is it not letting me go to their HQ? Well, that's just a load of baloney, isn't it? Normally when you press that, it'll let you. Well, that's just not at all exciting. Let's try this one. None of them are telling me. Maybe you have to be actually like on the map in order for it to show. But normally when you press that, it'll like take you to that guild's HQ. Let's try in one of my other ones where we already have landed. I'm just like a little bummed about that. Like, oh my gosh, is it a broken feature now? Oh, that makes me so sad. Normally when you press that, it goes to their HQ. Oh, that makes me grumpy. Okay. Well, maybe it's broken. I hope they fix it. That makes me sad. Am I even in the right? Where am I? I am. Okay, I'm like, where am I? I don't even know where I am. Okay. Either way, we're here. Let's see. Is there anything normally when you press that you can go and look at their thing? Let's go talk about our city real quick a little bit and tell you some little tips about your city before you do. So, always be mindful before GVG recalc starts and you get together with your guild. You want to get a guild attack boost, or sorry, a friend tavern shop boost purchased from within here. So you got your attacker boost going. You also want to make sure that you don't have any HC attempts on your HC. So if it's right before recalc and you have HC attempts that you need to do, you need to like go spend them in guild battlegrounds or attack a couple players in your neighborhood. Otherwise, if you have to like do things quickly at recalc with your group, you don't want to have like your winnings coming up from your HC. So that's something I've learned is you want to make sure that that's already taken care of. Also, along with if you are fighting in previous eras, this is where having, if we go into our inventory, you have previous area champions retreats are really super helpful because you can place them within your city. They are tiny. You can do that. And then you have your Alcatraz that'll give you those units. If you do that, I've heard the best thing to do is to just be very focused and only have one military building in your city at once. So if like I just place one HMA champions retreat in my city, I would have to get rid of my assault tank and I'd need to put my rogue den back in my inventory, but then I would be able to collect, I think I'm at 72 units right now that I collect from my Traz. Yeah, 72. I get 72 HMA right away and I'd be set and it would be great. So that's one thing that you see a lot of people doing is they'll be changing out their different military buildings for what different army units they need. So like for instance, if we look at my army management, I just did progressive era. If I don't know, recalc was when, like an hour ago? I don't know when recalc was. So if we go into progressive era, you can see I don't have very many, so I probably should switch out my assault tank for getting in some more of the tanks that I need for that era because some of them are injured and I just don't have a ton in general. But something else that I've learned too, like I showed you, when you lay a siege and you send your siege army out, you lose those. If you have attached military buildings within your city and you send out attached military units, you can then reproduce more, or reproduce you well, you can reproduce them, but you can just produce more of them within your city since you sent out an attached one. So it's like you're getting extra on top of your Alcatraz since you're sending out attached units. So some people will have like a ton of attached military unit buildings and also rogue dens and things that they'll use for sieging. I will also say if you are laying a siege and you have several people on in your guild at once, it's a lot faster if one person lays siege and the others are ready to just hit it. And then that one person always is the siege setter. It just makes things a lot quicker. So then you're not figuring out, oh, you lay siege this time and you laid siege that time and all that jazz. So that's really helpful too. I need to talk about rebubbling. I've already talked about bumping somebody else's HQ. I've talked about that. I've talked about the units. Like I said, I'm going over my little notes. Oh, yes. Your observatory and deal castle. I still don't support the deal castle, but I will support, and I always do support the observatory. So when we press on the observatory, you're going to see that your guild gains, 289 support pool. Think of support pool as essentially an attack and defensive boost when another guild attacks you in GVG. So I don't know if it'll show very easily. Oh, I don't know if it will, but let's see. I'm gonna go peek and see if it does. It doesn't. Okay, so support bonus. You can see that support bonus. This one right now has a 0% support bonus because I just landed here today, even though my HQ is that. This one should probably also say 0%. But now if we go to progressive era, where we actually hold some land, let's check up on the support pool of some of these so I can kind of show you. So this one has a 0% because it's not attached to our HQ, but I don't know if our HQ is going to show anything because we just moved it. No, it's not going to because it's got 0% and we dropped so much. Okay, let me just see. I'm determined to find one. I know we did something in. Did we already have some land in CA? Oh, those are all newly bubbled. Those aren't going to show us. I just want to show you guys where the support pool is. Oh, we just landed in this era too. Why are we landing everywhere? Oh my gosh, my guild is killing me. You guys, isn't there anything that I can show? Is there a support pool on this one? Oh, thank God we found one. One unshielded bubble in our whole GVG map. But you can see that we have a 75% support bonus. Obviously, the rest of these are all going to be 0 because nobody can hit them. But as of tomorrow, they will be different. But our support pool bonus we get from all of our guilds having observatories and things. The Deal Castle also gives support pool bonus, but I still won't support it because Deal Castle is so big and it just doesn't benefit you as a player. I mean, your observatory, with how tiny it is, being 3x3, will give your guild treasury goods and also gives you guild pool support bonus, and that is more than enough for how tiny it is. Okay, so I guess we should talk about all ages because it is a little bit different than the other ones. So all of the other ones require guild treasury goods from that era, and they require you to fight with units of that era or of a no age like rogues and things like that. Now, all ages is a bit different. All ages requires and we can kind of look at it over here. I'm not actually going to hit this guild, but you can see that all ages, if we view this sector, and like I said too, this is an unbubbled sector, so if I wanted to, I could hit, but I also can't because all ages, most of the time players in all ages are using anything that is future era and above, so it's really hard to fight. But if we go to this, you can use anything. Like I could literally lay a siege with any kind of army that I wanted to. But the difference is all ages does not cost guild goods, it costs guild medals. So your guild also has a feature to donate medals, and that is what you use to lay siege. Um, and I'm obviously not going to do so because we are neutral with this guild, but you can kind of see all ages is normally where guilds fight the most. It's the most active where you're going to see bubbles because all ages requires medals, and it's a lot cheaper to lay sieges with medals than it is for guild treasury goods, which are dependent upon what people are donating in your guild and the observatories and arcs that are in your guild, and if they're high level and all that jazz. And now with guild battlegrounds, it's a whole nother balancing act if you're also doing GVG, because you also have to balance how much goods cost for GVG and buying sieges and all that jazz, and whew, it gets messy in a real big hurry. But anyway, yay, we talked about all ages too. I'm just checking over. Oh yes, we have to talk about rebubbling. Oh my goodness, we have to talk about rebubbling. Why did I just exit the map? Oh, this should hopefully be one of the last things I have to talk about. It's the last thing that I can possibly think of. Okay, rebubbling. Let's say tomorrow at recalc, I do not want anybody to land on this sector because it is an LZ. What I will do is I will grant freedom seconds. And I mean, like, you're talking like 20 seconds as this timer ticks down, 20 seconds before that recalc happens. And then what you do is you lay siege on that sector immediately and you retake it, so then it is rebubbled again. So then nobody can land on it and it's yours again, as long as nobody else is faster than you, of course. And then I could also, take some of these tomorrow, but my goal is not to really hold a bunch of land. It really does not matter to me. But let's say, this guild, let's say they were an enemy to us actually and not friendly. And they didn't want us to attack these two sectors tomorrow. What they would do is they would drop them right before recalc, and then they would retake them because these three sectors would all become unshielded. So they once again could retake them, and then they'd be rebubbled, and then I wouldn't be able to hit those sectors from them. Oh, here's another thing too. Once you are on a map, you cannot get off that map unless another guild removes you. So let's say I don't want to be on this map anymore. I can grant freedom to this siege or to this sector here, and I could also grant freedom to this sector here. However, you cannot grant freedom of your HQ. It just doesn't happen. You can't get rid of your HQ once it's on a map. I'd have to ask a neighboring guild to remove me, and then once I'm removed, then I could land somewhere else. But once you're on a map, you're stuck where you are. You have to move through it. So that's rebubbling, and then also being removed is another term too, like I said. Oh my goodness, I don't know if I can think of anything else that I can possibly think of, and my goodness, this video is probably forever long, but it's really exciting. I hope that, maybe I got some people kind of excited to try it out, um, just to see what it's like. You don't have to hold a bunch, but it sure does make a difference, and it's really fun to do things with your guild. Like, obviously my guild has been chatting together as we were making this video, even because we dropped sectors there, we picked up stuff, somebody landed. I don't know if we had a sector in LMA. Let's go check really quick. I don't know if we were already in LMA or not. We must have just taken that today. But yeah, I mean, you can kind of see everybody's bubbled here. So they either took sectors or they rebubbled. But we're sitting right here, so we must have either taken a sector or rebubbled too. Who knows? We could have maybe even landed here today. Oh, we must have already been here today because we have a guild ranking on our map. But yeah, obviously we did something though because we have a bubble around it. But it's just kind of fun, and it gives you some other things to do as a guild. Like, ooh, we even landed in PME tonight because we were not there before, I don't think. Nope, we absolutely were not there before. And we're not going to we're not going to hit any of these other guilds because we're neutral with them. That's why, I mean, we could hit other things, but we're not going to because we're neutral. Ooh, looks like we might hit that guild though. We're not friendly with them. We've definitely Once you start doing GVG, it's really hard to not get into little like skirmishes with other guilds, but that's what makes it kind of fun. But now you're kind of done. You don't have to sit there and babysit the map like you do GVG, and it's just a really fun effort. I've gotten to make a lot of friends with my own guild mates, but then also, like I said, some of our allies guilds too when they do GVG, just because it's really fun to get to know like human beings. Because guess what, we are human beings that play this game, and that is like really really cool. And I've made some really awesome friendships, and that's why I love this game so much. So I really am enjoying GVG, and I hope that like maybe I inspire some other people to try it out too. It's a blast. Just be careful about it. Don't be careful. There's a lot of, messaging other guilds too. Hey, is it okay if I take the sector from you or land on you and things like that? Sometimes finding who does GVG in other guilds can be kind of tricky. The thing that I will say, you always want to start with the founder of another guild and message them first, and then normally they will direct you to who does GVG coordination in their guild. But that's how you make friends with other guilds too. And also, if you make an enemy of another guild, you will know because you will get a PM. Like as a founder, you'll get a PM. Why did you hit us? Or why did you take our sector in this era in like CE map or something? And then they get cranky. So hopefully this video was helpful and you enjoyed it. If it was, give it a like. You can always subscribe to my channel, and if you hit the little bell next to the subscribe button, you'll be notified whenever I put out new videos. Bye guys!